Hi, thanks for watching again. This is our third tip for implementing Wi-Fi best practices. This one's a little bit more complicated, a little bit harder to implement, but one that we've adopted recently. We initially had 2 segments on our wireless networks, and we've gone to 3 for ease of use, and I'll explain to you why. So segmenting is a way to ensure that people that are supposed to be on one network don't access things on a different portion of the network. So, to put it simply, the 3 areas that we concentrate on when we're dealing with our clients is that they have internal company-owned property. So these are the PCs, the printers, anything that they have internally on the network that is supposed to access just about everything on the network. So you have one segment here. You have then employees. So if you have employees, they want to put their own devices, whether they're iPads or their iPhones, or maybe a laptop that they bring in that doesn't necessarily need access to everything, and you want to hand out the password for this one. And then the last one is guests. And the guest is obviously anybody that's not employed, a visitor, maybe somebody that's spending a small amount of time. They don't need access to anything on the network, and you want to have them outside of everything. You don't want to have them have access to any of it. So on the internal side of things, we keep this one static. We leave that passphrase something that, if we have to change it, we have to change everything that's connected to it. So we don't want this passphrase to get out to anybody, so that we can change it on a regular basis, but we have it planned out. It doesn't happen at a random interval. So if we put a multifunction printer on the network, nobody needs to know that passphrase. We add the passphrase to that printer, and that should never change until it's time for us on our schedule to change it. Internal computers, laptops, like I said before, this should never change. Nobody should have access to this information except for critical personnel, owners of the business, or us. And the only time you would have to change this in an emergency would be is if we terminate one of our employees, or somebody leaves our company, or if it's been compromised or let out. The employee one, this is a passphrase that maybe needs access to the internal information, but this is one that, say we terminate an employee and they know what the passphrase is. You don't want them getting on with another computer or anything. You don't want to have them to have access to anything. So you change this passphrase. If you change, if they know this one, if you change the passphrase because you terminated them, you have to change that passphrase for everybody else on the network. Everything that's connected, everybody then has to get the new passphrase. So it's easy then to only give them access to this one. So if we change this one, we can just give it out to the people that need to change it. It's a much smaller number of devices. And then the last one is your guest. Your guest network is the network that operates outside of all of your internals. They don't have access to anything, basically just the internet, most likely. They're not going to have access to your printers, and not access to your saved files, nothing. So they're going to have probably limits on that network, how long they can be on. Maybe that network only operates during business hours. You can only have a certain number of people on that network, and they only get a certain amount of bandwidth. A lot of things you can do here to limit how much of an impact they have on your network, but most importantly is they don't have access to anything in the network. So these are the 3 ways we segment it currently. We found it to be the easiest. That way, if somebody's terminated, if there's any changes that need to happen, it doesn't have an impact of the company overall. And this is fairly easy to implement if you followed our advice on tip 1 and you have a business class firewall or even a newer router. You can make separate virtual access points that way, and so you don't have more than one access point, but you can segment it out so that you know who is on which network. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to contact us, but it's an incredibly important best practice for us, and it ensures that we have minimal issues with our clients. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next tip.